Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. And this is my Saturn Day Pop-Up. It's August 26th, 2023. Today is a 5-day in numerology. So expect some changes, maybe a little bit of confusion, hopefully not too much chaos, as we are newly into Virgo season and Mercury retrograde, which happened on the 23rd on Wednesday. And I can myself report that Mercury retrograde is alive and well and fucking with my life. Not really, but yeah, what I thought was going to happen on Wednesday, I was told on Tuesday that it was going to happen on Friday, and then Thursday I was told no, it's not going to happen till Monday. So, you just go with the flow. You know what I'm saying? What can you do? Anyway, I'm hoping that everyone is doing well, that y'all had a great week, and that you're surviving El Mercurio retrogrado, which the days that Mercury stations to go either retrograde or direct are usually the most interesting. We tend to see things happen on that day, which are indicative of the general direction that the retrograde will take for us. And that all depends on where it is located in your astrology chart. So, where does Virgo fall? What house does Virgo fall in? For me, it's my sixth house. So, my daily routine has been disrupted. However, on the other side of it, which would be, you know, reassessing your health routines and your diet and exercise, reorganizing your life so that your daily routine flows smoothly, that's going quite well for me. So I am returning back to a pretty good schedule, and getting a lot of things done, which makes a Capricorn happy. So perhaps there were things that occurred. It's usually not necessarily on the day. It could be the day before or the day after Mercury goes retrograde. Uh, um, whether there were delays or changes or miscommunications that are quite typical of Mercury retrograde in general. And yeah, you just take it all in stride and take it as it comes. I always just think that, yeah, you know what? It's meant to be. It's better this way for whatever reason. I'll figure it out later. If nothing else, it's teaching us patience, showing us how to adjust to things. Maybe because something was delayed, we have more time to prepare, right? Think of it that way. It just doesn't pay to get all aggravated about it, even though it's really easy to do with Mercury in Virgo, because Virgo is super perfectionista, OCD, everything has to be just so, so that's not a bad thing for us to just have to make that adjustment and work with it, you know. Work on your anxiety and control issues, everybody. I know things are tense. I've heard from a few people. And, you know, work situations, health situations. Uh, I've been reading up on the news, and there's definitely one strike that I was wondering if the retrograde, being in Virgo, because Virgo represents the workforce, especially in the helping professions, i.e., healthcare workers. I was wondering what would happen. And um, I do think that it's possible that we could see more strikes coming our way. Probably, I'm going to say, where it's most likely obvious, the healthcare professions, as we see that there are scheduled restrictions and quote, um, I don't know if I want to say it, but anyway, scheduled. Like, how do you schedule to have an emergency, right? So, something's up. Anyway, in the helping professions, service oriented industries, that's Virgo. Uh, it could be also having to do with travel, transportation, long distance, i.e., airplanes. Air travel could be affected, or the industry of air travel, possibly. Um, because we have Mercury making an aspect to Jupiter, which is the ruler of Sagittarius, rules long distance travel. Also, just before the retrograde, or perhaps it was the day of the retrograde, there was an airplane crash, and Mercury was making an aspect to Uranus, which is um, not just sudden, unexpected things like plane crashes, but interference with electronics and technology. Possible. I don't really know what the details of that thing was, but I did hear about the auto workers strike. I think they voted to go on strike, and I don't know if it's being talked about, but I just looking at the astrology, I could see there being something having to do with service related industries, healthcare workers, either protesting, walking out. I don't know if there's unions or if there's any kind of contract negotiations. I'm not sure, but Mercury does rule written contracts, so Mercury retrograde is rethinking those contracts, renegotiating. So it's possible. I don't know. I'd have to look into that. But I also did see that Mercury is moving back into a sextile to asteroid Union at, I think, 16 degrees of Cancer. So that's what made me think about like nurses and stuff, Cancer being a nurturing, empathic sign. Also, it's an industry dominated by females. I mean, we could also be looking at teachers because we're looking at back to school and certain restrictions being put back in place. So, this will be happening over the next few weeks with Mercury retrograde. And the information that comes out around such things. It'll be different this time. Don't think that it's going to be like 2020. I don't think it will be. So, that's just a little introduction. I just wanted to make a post of the live show on well, I keep saying Twitter. I think I'll always say Twitter. I just can't say X because I just can't. I'm just not ready to let go yet. Ah, let's see, what other hashtags do I want? I want the Mercury retrograde, Mercury retrograde. So, every Mercury retrograde is different. People get so like shell shocked and like, oh my God, I remember what happened last time, and oh my God, what's gonna happen? It's scary. Uh, it's not always scary, but in Mercury being in a sign that it rules, it will have extra emphasis on everything mercurial, everything to do with communications, because Virgo is a very detail-oriented sign. I'm going to say that it will be highly emphasized as far as the details of the communication. It could be that we are being overly detailed. We're giving too many details and we get in trouble because of it, or we confuse people perhaps because it's too many details. Or it's the details that are left out that cause us to be tripped up. So if it has to do with, if you find yourself in negotiations, contracts, things that need to be signed on the dotted line, really wait out this retrograde to get all the details, because it will be very difficult after the retrograde, because it's likely something will come up after the retrograde that was hidden, considering that we had Mars opposing Neptune, which likes to obscure the details, and that aspect can bring deception. So it may not be intentional, or it may be like, well, I just won't tell them this particular point. Yeah, I failed to mention that. And it's sins of omission. So just be careful, be on watch. Hey, Darren. Nice to see you here. When does the retrograde end? It ends in the middle of September, and I think the exact date is the 16th, but let me just double check upon that. Yeah, it looks like the 16th. So, we give it about a week after Mercury goes direct to really see things get sorted out. And this time around, you definitely want to do that, even though it ends on the 16th. Just wait till the dust settles, because the sun is going to oppose Neptune on the 19th. Venus is still will be direct by then and not out of her shadow, will be still squaring to Jupiter. So anything having to do with, relationships or financial issues, circumstances changing, I would wait until, if you can't wait, but definitely, I'm just saying, things may be obscured or still, something has changed by that point, because Jupiter will have gone retrograde. So Jupiter square to Venus is not a bad thing. Jupiter is excess, and in Taurus, it is physical possessions or, our finances, generally speaking. And square to Venus, squares cause action and put pressure on us to make a decision. So it does feel to me like prices are going to be going up around this time. I think we're going to start to see prices go up, especially in um, where it comes to raw materials, because that's Jupiter in Taurus. So I don't know. Um, just use caution. I think that the sun opposite Neptune is going to reveal anything, if there was any deception around the time when Mars, 2 weeks before that, was opposite, which was like this past week. So whatever was coming out around that time, whatever we were realizing, we could be uncovering something, or something could be covered up. It'll come to light most likely around mid-September. So just use caution. Hey, Lynn. Okay, that's fine. You can't stay. Oh, you're going home. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I know you were staying and helping someone out, right? And you're going back home. That's so cool. But thanks for popping in to say hi, Lynn. We will miss you. Lynn is like the super chat fan, a super fan in the chat. She's always holding down the chat for me. That's so cool. But anyway, Lynn, have a great day. Thanks for saying hi. Yep, animal sitting. Yeah, very cool. Virgo actually rules pets, small pets. So that's very interesting. Mercury retrograde, watching someone's pets. I'm getting a new one. Yeah, you're a helper. See, you must have some good Virgo action going on in your chart. All right, so yeah, back to Darren's question. When does retrograde end? Um, like I said, the 16th, but I would give it another week or so to let things settle out. I would want to go past the sun opposite Sun in Virgo, opposite Neptune in Pisces, which is obscuring something, especially if those degrees are active in your chart. If you have planets there, if you were born in the late 60s, early 70s, you probably have, at the very least, you have Pluto and Uranus there. I know I do. So it's the little bit of uncertainty, perhaps, that we're getting past. Um, let's see what else. Yeah, well, the Venus retrograde ends on September 4th, so things can start moving forward with relationships and whatever you're doing to, let's say, be creative or self-promoting. Those things will probably start to kick back in, or at least if you've been contemplating a makeover, a change. I know I need a whole new wardrobe or whole new wardrobe, but I refuse to do it until I get right with Venus, because first of all, I want to lose a little weight, not much, but a little bit. Even 5 pounds makes me feel uncomfortable, and I've been at the same weight since I was pretty much in high school, like up and down when I had my kid, but it's cool. So I'm trying to get that under control, because I think, you know, yes, you're right, Darren, we're not old, we are classics. It's true, but I know my potential and I know what I want to look like. I know what I can look like. I know, like, it's more of a health thing for me and being in shape. And, like, I just think I've been lazy, and I really haven't had to work at it. I'm not gonna lie. I've been sort of spoiled in that way, but I think that my body chemistry has changed, and I cannot eat what I used to eat. I know I can't drink what I used to drink. Well, that's for sure. Not that I used to drink a lot, but I just can't round as a shape. Darren, you're so funny. Yeah, that's funny. Okay, so in relationships and perhaps finances, we could be moving forward where we start to feel things loosen up, perhaps in the beginning of September, then mid-September when Mercury goes direct. We'll feel a little bit better about things. But we still have Jupiter going retrograde. Yay! And Uranus. So that's going to put a stall in terms of finances, raw materials. Um, I think it's going to affect trade, perhaps, which doesn't affect us immediately, but it does in the long run. That's where I think that we're going to see inflation. Mwah, mwah. Um, and changes to digital currency. Now, let me see. I want to see when Jupiter and Uranus are going retrograde because I did not mark that down. So Jupiter goes retrograde on September 5th. So the 4th, we have Venus going direct. So pretty much at the same time, Venus goes direct and Jupiter goes retrograde. So in terms of travel, yeah, maybe the prices of air travel would come down. But the thing is, there will be restrictions on air travel. Crypto boom. Darren says crypto boom. A la cliff high soaring to soaring 20s. Well, I wouldn't call the 20s soar. Well, the 1920s, I'm sure you're talking about that because when Bitcoin goes into the 20s, people are not happy. They want to see it up in the 30s. I think it's weird the dip that we saw, and I think that had a lot to do with the Venus retrograde. Because in Leo it opposes uh, Aquarius, and Aquarius is Aquarius and Uranus is ruling not 100,000 yet. No, I don't think that's going to happen until next year because of the happening. Yeah. So I think the Venus retrograde will probably see Venus retrograde. Here's what I think. Venus retrograde Venus going forward, because the retrograde saw the price go down like around 25. I think with Venus square Jupiter going retrograde, and then Jupiter also in Taurus bringing a lot of lawsuits, right? Look at XRP, look at Ripple, look at the SEC and all that crap, right? So, something I think could happen regarding lawsuits and the laws surrounding cryptocurrency. But watch and see what happens on that day. Watch and see what happens around September 4th, and that will give you an idea of where things are going. But I do think that crypto, generally speaking, is going to go back up from its slump because the Venus retrograde was affecting Aquarius planets. I believe Bitcoin has or is maybe it is Aquarius sun. I know that there's planets in Aquarius, but Aquarius and Uranus rule digital and currency. Uranus is in Taurus. Taurus is money, value, and Taurus squares Aquarius. So the square to Venus has been affecting the Bitcoin price. Plus, we had Mercury first Mars and then Mercury opposing Saturn. So that brought a lot of fear. And Mars opposing Neptune brought uncertainty, right? And at the same time that the sun went into Virgo and opposed Saturn also. So that went a boom. Like that just like put so much fear. And there's also stuff going on. There was some like whale that bought a bunch of XRP and the price spiked like I don't know, like crazy, and then it went back boom down. Darren says do a chart for Satoshi and Bitcoin. Who knows? Satoshi I don't think is a real person. So where would I even get a birth date? Bitcoin, I could do a chart on the first trade, which somewhere I think I have the chart for Bitcoin. And I have looked at it. And uh, I've looked at other cryptocurrencies and made a chart for their first trade, or I could look at when the white paper comes out. So I have looked at things. Um, it's interesting. I looked at a few of the smaller altcoins, and um, a lot of the planets, like the major planets, were retrograde at that time when those coins came out. Like we were having some really funky astrology at the time, and I thought, wow, these are going to stay small for a long time, and some of them obviously they won't survive, but at a certain point they could really take off. I should do more research on it. There's so many things, so little time. Oh my God. Ah! Oh, well, anyway, back to Mercury retrograde. It's a bitch. But that aside, um, oh, wait. This is the ADD, the rabbit trailing, the Mercury retrograde in Virgo. Way too many details I was going to tell you. So Jupiter goes retrograde on the 5th of September, and Uranus goes retrograde at the end of August. And that would be, oh my God. Here we go. The 29th. So the 29th of August for Uranus. So there could be some disruption, which is what Uranus loves to cause. Because you know what? Actually, it's a good thing. Think of it this way. When we get too stuck in our patterns and our habits, we need something to come like shake us up, light a fire under our asses. I think the Mercury retrograde in Virgo is good because it stops just short of making a trine to Uranus. So when Mercury makes that trine to Uranus, when it goes direct, we'll be ready for it. So here's where you need to streamline your uh, your daily routines, organize your life, your habits, uh, get back to your health regimen, um, uh, like go over your finances with a fine-tooth comb, see where you can save because prices are going up. If you can't make more money, then the best thing you could do is save more money, make budget cuts, right? The other thing that you can do is look at everything in terms of what you buy, uh, as how what will it increase in value? So if it's an investment, um, we want to go with things that are Taurus related, right? Like physical assets. Real estate obviously is always a good thing, depending on where it is, and gold and silver. People are going to be looking at commodities like that, things that hold their value in times where um, where there's difficulty and uncertainty. So perhaps during this time of the Uranus retrograde, we might see a change in the value, like I said, of cryptocurrency, which it is an abstract asset, but they're talking about having gold-backed crypto. So these are things you can look at. You can put your money into things that are going to add value to your life or that are going to increase in value because they're physical, um, and people look at them as having value. They may not be physical, but that's the way cryptocurrency is changing the perspective of it. It's being looked at for its value that it can bring because people are starting to understand it now. We're starting to see that it's not just a digital coin. There's the blockchain behind it. People are starting to understand things like Web3. And yeah, so whatever you spend your money on, look at it as an investment because we should be investing in things that have solid value, that bring value to our life, or that will increase in value, or that are going to improve our health. That's the Mercury in Virgo in retrograde, um, and with a supportive aspect to Uranus, and then moving backwards, it'll make a trine to Jupiter, which is increasing in value. What is going to increase in value? You are, if you invest in yourself. Let me tell you something. I invested in myself recently in my education. I bought a package, lifetime access to courses, computer courses online of anything that I could possibly want. So whether I, go into the tech field and become an ethical hacker, which sounds really sexy to me, or I just, take some courses so that I can understand better the direction of where technology is going and how to use it to benefit my life. Anything, anything from, it's got like Microsoft certifications, Linux, everything. Darren, I know, learn to prompt. Darren's really good with that AI stuff. I should have you on one day to talk about it because um, I've been seeing your posts and it's very interesting. I have not used like Chat GPT, but it's always nice to have somebody who's already been there and surfed those waters. Right? Darren's a surfer, ex-surfer. He's surfing on the farm nowadays. Um, surfing the duck pond. uh, yeah, so that's my friend Darren McClure. You can check him out. He's on Twitter. And Darren is always posting things that he's been playing around with the Chat GPT, which I've not done, so I find it very fascinating. Never an X surfer. No, you're surfing on X. There is no X surfer when you're surfing on X, formerly known as Twitter. I'm just going to call it the social media platform formerly known as Twitter. I don't want to say X. I just don't. I'm stubborn like that. I don't know. Like, I'm questioning. I have questions. Does everyone else's X icon show up with like a scratch through it where it sort of looks, how they can make things look like an old photo that's cracked or something? There's a crack through the X, and I'm not sure what to make what to make of that. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I look at everything and give it the side eye, like, because I already know why he changed it during a Mercury retrograde. I'm sorry, he changed it to X on the Venus retrograde, which is rebranding. But I think you should be looking at your rebranding and then launch it when Venus goes direct. But what do I know? Twitter icon has bird poop on it. Yeah, I agree, Darren. Um, uh, oh, yeah. So the Elon changed Twitter to X with the Venus retrograde and the grand cross of the sun opposite Pluto and squaring the nodes which had just moved into Aries and Libra, signaling and heralding a huge crossroads. We had definitely crossed over into the twilight zone. There was a crossroads and a point of no return in some fashion there. I think that definitely was a point in time with the Grand Cross, which is also an X. I thought that was all muy interesante. And things changed. And the changing of the Twitter icon was Twitter to X was a consolidation, right? Because X already existed. That's part of his other, it's just part of his thing. Oh, by the way, let me plug. I'm going to be doing an interview with Dave Cruz of Beyond the Strange. And I've been on Dave's show many, many times. And Dave has asked me to look at someone's chart, and he gave me a few people to choose from. And we're going to be looking at Elon Musk's chart. And we'll be picking it apart. I'll be looking at the asteroids. I'm going to look at what fixed stars are being affected in his chart, where his planets fall at. So we will be putting the microscope to Elon. And I have some opinions about him. Like, I don't really look at him as the savior of social media. He's a businessman, and no one gets to be that big in the world and own big corporations unless there's a certain amount that goes on behind the scenes. I think we know that. And they'll let him be the maverick that he wants to be to a certain degree, but he also has his own agenda. So we'll see. He's kind of like a wild card. Like, I think Trump is a wild card. Trump is a monkey wrench. I don't really think Elon is a monkey wrench, but I think he's a wild card. So he may have some sort of glass ceiling that he cannot rise above, but within the parameters that he's given, he will do what he wants to do and represent his own values. But we'll see what that is when we look at Elon's chart. And so I'm going to be recording that with Dave on Sunday tomorrow. We are going to record it. I'm not sure when he's going to air the episode, but if you go to beyondthestrange.com, it has the links for all of where Dave posts his stuff. So it'll be coming out probably this week, maybe, Mercury retrograde allowing. And Dave usually streams his stuff on Twitch, and that'll stay there for like a week or two, I think. But he's also got a YouTube channel, Beyond the Strange. So, yeah. I'll let you know when that's coming up, but I'm going to record it on Sunday. So if there's any questions that you want to ask about Elon Musk's chart, you can always you could tag me, you can direct message me, however you want to get a hold of me. And if there's anything in particular you want me to look at, you can let me know between now and tomorrow morning. So we're going to be doing a Sunday morning coffee and cosmos where we're drinking our coffee because we're going to be doing it at 11 o'clock. So I don't know how awake Dave will be, but I'm not an early riser, so I probably still will be drinking my coffee. And we'll be looking at the cosmos and looking at the Elon and talking a little bit about whatever we know about his life, which is kind of interesting, maybe a little mysterioso. Anyway, I love a good mystery, you know me. Yeah, so that's where it is. Mercury sabotaged my my pop-up on Wednesday. That's another Mercury retrograde story. So I recorded 40 minutes on a Wednesday and there was no sound. I went back and was checking on my video on YouTube and realized that there was no sound. Curse you, Mercury. Yeah, that happened. Whatever. I still feel like I'm just kind of getting my sea legs as far as, hopping on live and streaming. And first it was my streaming and my technology and my microphone and taking calls, which I'm going to try to do this Sunday. Yes, I will have a show. I will be live Sunday after I record Dave's show. So that means I probably won't be on until 12:30, 1 o'clock because I'm doing an hour and a half with Dave to pre-record that show. And then I'll be doing my own show. I've been trying to keep it to about noon, even during the week, noon to 1 o'clock, Sunday, noon to 1 o'clock. I, I'm trying to be consistent. You're lucky you're getting me on the same day every week. But we'll work it out. So, yeah, that's 12 noonish Eastern time, 9 a.m. Pacific. And I stream to YouTube. I have done some streams to Twitter also, but the best way to get the notification is to follow on YouTube and hit the bell so that you get a notification when the live stream comes on. Or you can follow me on Twitter, even if you don't do it anyway, because you love me, right? But I do tweet out interesting news and I make my astrological commentary on the aspects that are happening. But I will also try to be consistent with sharing the live stream on Twitter. So if you're on Twitter, then that's two ways that you can get my notifications. So every little bit helps. I do have the Facebook page still, and I do put the archives after the fact. I put them up on Facebook. I've been trying to get back over to Instagram too. So those are the places that you can find me. I also have a Rumble channel, very important. I had a show last week that I actually had to take down because I couldn't keep my mouth shut and I got a notification, not per se about my channel, but I know that YouTube changed its terms. They're getting more specific about certain things and letting us know that because there's a scheduled crisis coming up, um, so the restriction on what you can say is going back into play, which sucks, but that's what it is. You know what? Fuck them. So that, my point is, that show that I did for 2 hours and 22 minutes, I took it off of YouTube, and I think that was Tuesday's show, Tuesday's Child. I put it on Rumble. So go and make sure that you're subscribed on Rumble, because if I do a live stream and then I realize, ugh, crap, I've said too much because I have no filter, because I just can't shut up. Once my mouth opens, it's hard to close it. And so I might do the live and then take it off of YouTube and put it onto Rumble because I feel safer there. Oh, hey, Pat. The elf is here. Pat says, you say follow me, but then you call the cops. Just saying, I'm getting mixed signals from you. Yeah, I said follow me, but, not all day long, and not everywhere I go, and not peeping in my window, Pat. Boundaries. Boundaries, boy. Ah, thank you for your support, Elf. Elf is another super fan. My friends. Well, my friends are here today. Last week it was all the girls. Uh it was Lynn and Nish popped in earlier last week. And then my friend from Twitter, A Hint of Palace, popped in. And she was here with Lynn. So it was the girls. So now it's me and the guys, which is cool. I love my bros. Bros before hoes. Or bros can be hoes too. Just saying. Anyway, glad you're here, Elf. Elf always brings the comedy and the cookies. Darren, you scream, I scream. The police come. It's awkward. Yeah, you for that you kind of have to have like a cabin in the woods, and either that or a muffle or a ball gag or duct tape. Hey, it's just live action role play, right? She's a screamer. Oh my God. It's crazy when you live out in the woods, in the mountains, and you hear a scream. It could be a bobcat, or it could be your neighbor's wife. It could be a bobcat, or it could be Bob's cat. Know what I'm saying? You never know. But you know what? The good thing about us rural folk, we mind our own business. Unless I hear gunshots, unless I hear a scream followed by gunshots, I'm not going to worry about it. Even then, it's like, well, is it nighttime? Is it daytime? Because it could be target practice. It could be turkey shoot. We got a lot of turkeys around here, and people have guns, and they're within further than 50 feet of your house. There's nothing you can really say. So I got respect. I like people who protect their property, because those are the kind of people that usually, if you're in trouble, they're going to come to your aid. Generally speaking, that tends to be the values. And I fully support that. I plan on getting a gun myself. I want a little tiny pistol with a pearl handle, a pearl holder. Right, Darren? Gun control is good aim. I think so. Fences and guns. Good fences and well cleaned guns make for good neighbors. Anyway. Oh, is there anything else I wanted to say today about the stars and the heavens and the planets? I don't even know. Where's the moon today? Oh, it's in Capricorn. Yeah, baby. So the Capricorns have home field advantage for the next 2 days, which means we'll be getting a lot of work done. First of all, the moon is making a trine to the sun in Virgo. Very, very good for task-oriented stuff. And yeah, Capricorns like to have fun too. I'm a lot of fun at parties. And I don't really drink, so I'm good for a designated driver. And I never let things go too far. You know, friends don't let friends party with their beer goggles and go home with the wrong person. Except if they piss you off and you're like, walk home, bitch. Anyway, the moon is making a lovely sextile to Saturn, which is the ruler of Capricorn. A sextile is a very supportive and creative angle. So Saturn in Pisces has kind of like does the flip-flop. There's boundaries and then there's no boundaries and you're not really sure where the boundaries are. And there's this underlying sense of uh, unfinished business, karma, fear, but you're not really sure what it is exactly. There's a wall there, but you can't quite see it. Caused a lot of frustration when Mars and Mercury about a month ago opposed Saturn because it's like, oh, I'm just trying to get stuff done, and there's this delay, this restriction, this resistance. So we're dealing with a lot of subconscious stuff. Also, I think I think Saturn in Pisces is really bringing this sort of ennui to the collective. There's this vague sense of not really depression, but I don't know, feeling a little isolated. Maybe our foundation's dissolving. Some sort of bondage or self-sabotage for sure. Uh, when it comes to substances, addictions, that kind of thing. Um, Maybe the sense that it's time to get sober. Saturn is sobriety. But today, it could help with the aspects. Be like, yeah, I feel good about doing that. I feel good about eating healthy. I feel good about um, consuming less substances or whatever it is. Whatever it is. Who cares? Anyway, those are the aspects with the moon today because the moon is in the very early degrees of Capricorn for most of the day. Really, the only aspect that it's going to make is to Saturn, which is going to help us to set the boundaries and perhaps create a structure where it's really hard to because we don't really know. Um, Things can change from day to day. Both Pisces and Virgo and the sun, right? So the sun is opposing Saturn. It's coming up against an obstacle. But because Virgo and Pisces are mutable signs, and Pisces is water, Pisces is mutable water, Virgo is mutable earth. So we have to be flexible to move around the obstacles, to work around them emotionally because we're talking about water. Don't try to, not try to, but like don't don't cling to the pessimism. Try to stay on the bright side. Try to look at a strategy for uh flowing around the obstacles. And Moon in Capricorn is not an overly emotional moon. So it's a easy aspect today with the support from the sun and from Saturn to implement routines and strategies and, maybe taking responsibility and being helpful to those in need of support. That would be that Pisces, Saturn and Pisces. You know, there's always somebody that has it more difficult than us. And while depression is a real thing, we have to counteract that by doing good for others, being helpful for other people. Um, it can really make a difference in how we feel. It can shift our perspective and our emotions if we find ourselves really bogged down, really feeling a little depressed or pessimistic or critical. Also, a good thing to look at really during this time where Mercury is in retrograde. Okay, it's at 22 degrees, it's going backwards. The sun is at 4 degrees Virgo, and they're going to converge. Mercury is going back over the degrees that it was that it passed over while it was going forward. Now it's going back over those degrees, and a lot of what happened during that time was there was like a lot of highly critical actions and reactions and a lot of being judgmental. So if you were observing yourself during that time and you found yourself being highly critical of others and highly judgmental, um, monitoring our thoughts, because now Mercury going retrograde is going within. So there's something that happened during that time that we are self-evaluating. So watch the self-critical talk, really, because that's a Virgo foible. That's a pitfall. So there will be something that comes to light. You may realize, wow, I'm hypercritical because, I grew up with constant criticism and I was never good enough. And now I'm projecting that onto other people. And somehow that's a release valve for me to judge other people and criticize other people because it makes me feel better. But really, the underlying thing is I don't feel good about myself. A lot of that came up with the Venus retrograde, of this imposter syndrome, of this puffing oneself up and uh, putting on a front. Hey, Nish, you're awesome. Thanks for coming in. It's nice to see you again. I was just talking about you before because I think one of the episodes, I'm not sure which one, it might have been the one that you popped in on. I put it over on Rumble because I said too much. That's really a thing for me. I can't. I just can't shut up. Oh my God. I open my mouth and truth just starts coming out. I don't know what to do about it. So you got the notice. Good. Good, good. All good. Yeah, so I've been chatting for about an hour now, but I was talking about the Mercury retrograde in Virgo and the self-critical talk, also being critical of others, and the projecting. That's where the judgment comes in, you know. We can be, what is it about another person that bugs us? We could be projecting onto that person, or people could be projecting onto us. There's just a lot of criticism. But with the Mercury retrograde going back over those degrees where we had the shit storm, we can hopefully do some more self-analysis. Bye, Nish. Check you later. Thanks for popping in. Catch the playback. Um, yeah, so this is really, really good for self-observation and not being hard on yourself and not being judgy of yourself, but were we too judgy of others? Were we, hmm, were we, I lost my train of thought here. I know for myself what I just went through over the past couple of weeks. I'm still kind of digesting and evaluating it. And I don't know if that'll come up again for me. I think I'm done with it. I won't go back to it, but the other person might come back. So there were situations, that we've been dealing with that could have a resolution. Oh, I got you, Nish. You'll catch what you missed. Cool. Um, yeah. And well, if you know, uh, the Mercury retrograde in Virgo health is bringing back the um, the fear that comes with that health thing that we dealt with. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to say it. So returning to, that's the Mercury retrograde, returning to a focus on health and the workers. As I was saying earlier in the show, I really feel like there's going to be an issue in the industry with healthcare, with its workforce. And you can imagine what the pushback will be because we have more information. And also, during Mercury retrograde, more information comes out. This is very much being influenced by the people who are speaking out. But at the same time, YouTube comes out with its new terms of service where they're very specific. You cannot talk about anything having to do with um, with health and medicine, medical. Very specific. Wonder why that would be. Wow. But again, we're dealing with Saturn in Pisces opposite the sun. Where are the boundaries? Like if I say health, medical, talk about, what are the keywords? Who knows? We'll find out. You only find out when you get in trouble. Anyway. And same thing goes with people. It's like with the Mercury retrograde in Virgo, we could be coming up against landmines. Like you didn't know that was a trigger for someone because it really has nothing to do with you. But you say something or you do something or you look at them a certain way and boom, it's on or it's off. And suddenly you're cut off with no explanation other than you did something. You were the culprit. But again, projection. Projection. Projectile vomiting. So Nish in the chat says, and if you're not familiar with Nish, please check out her channel. She has a multitude of shows going on. It's Nox Mente, the channel. The shows are The Obelisk and what was the other one, Nish? And you also have something on Spotify too. Oh, the Cosmic Salon. That's right. But Nish and Jerry have their show, so go check them out. And yeah, I was just gonna comment that Nish says the Cosmic Salon. Yes. Sometimes you need to let people go, and there is no reason to have them back, energetics and all. Exactly. And people are really easy to see through these days. Yeah, because the mask is off. The mask is off, and I also feel like, for whatever reason, people feel more comfortable like just letting it all hang out, or they just can't hold it together. It's like the psychosis has gotten to the point where, it's like a pimple that has risen to the surface and you could see the whitehead and it's very easy to pop. Pop! It doesn't take much. I also think that has to do with, well, there's a few reasons for that. One of the things is that people are pressed to the breaking point more frequently, and because they have not been doing the inner work and are not doing the self-care, it's not hard to push them over the edge. So if they're not doing the inner work, then they're not working on the negativity inside. They're not taking responsibility for their own negative thoughts, their own judgments, their own a lot of people are harboring anger and hatred. You don't know what goes on inside another person. So because that is so deeply entrenched and they're not working on it, when things come along to push them past their breaking point, they start spewing all over other people and they just can't. I mean, you look at the news and you see people shooting up their own families or just like walking into a store or whatever, and opening fires, or the wife leaves the husband because he's been a jackass for years and there's been abuse and he's controlling, and she finally leaves, and next thing you know, somebody's dead because it's the inner garbage that has built up for so long, and rather than taking responsibility for their negativity, they end up taking it out on other people. And because the days that we're living in, there's so much pressure. It's not, things seem to be more crucial, more dire. We're under more pressure. Um, there's more stress and strain. There's uncertainty about the future. There's fear, lack of support system. So rather than seeking help or seeking someone to talk to and sorting it out, they're not taking responsibility for their inner life. So they got an inner life going on that you know nothing about, because that smiling face, that's being super nice to you. That's why, like, Jesus, I mean, these people kill their families or kill people, or they find out that someone's a serial killer, right? And then afterwards, the people that knew them are like, but he was such a nice guy. They were such a happy family. You don't know shit to go on behind the scenes. You just don't know. So people have been good at hiding it. It's getting harder and harder. And it doesn't take much anymore, you know? So, so that's why I always say, be aware of the people that are around you. Know who the ops are in your environment. It's difficult if you have no choice and you work with them. Uh, but make sure that you have an outlet, because if you have a stressful job and you have to go there and it's a toxic environment, it builds up. You need to talk about it with someone, even if, you're talking to a friend or a counselor, or trying to address the situation can be difficult because you're dealing with people who they don't have that kind of, it takes a spiritual maturity to do that. But because of the things that we go through, we can be a help and support to other people around us. So if you're going to talk to a friend about your ish, talk to somebody that you know is working through their ish. So it's an even exchange. I have a few of those friends, and they're the most self-aware people that I know, and they don't judge me for my stuff. I don't judge them. And if we need to rant and rave and swear and curse and get the negativity out. Sometimes you just need to get it out. I don't believe in never speaking any kind of negativity. That's bullshit. That's bullshit, new age bullshit. Yes, we have to watch the negative talk, especially with the Mercury retrograde in Virgo. I think that's a good thing to look at. What's the negative talk? Are we constantly complaining? Our people are in our lives constantly complaining. Of course, you're going to want to avoid those people because the constant complaining means we're not doing anything about it, you know? So that's something to look at. Let me see what else I could see. I'm going to do a show tomorrow that'll cover the weekly aspects. Like I said, I'm going to be recording a show with Dave Cruz from Beyond the Strange. We're going to do Elon Musk's chart, or as I like to refer to him, the Elon, because I think he's a collective, or he represents a collective. But let's see what his chart says. It should be interesting. I'm going to look at the asteroids. I'm going to look at the fixed stars, as well as just the boring old aspects and planets in signs, which I get really bored with that, which is why I had to look at all kinds of things, degrees, declinations, fixed stars, and asteroids. But we're going to put it all together and overlay it on his chart and see what we got. I just think he's interesting. I like weirdos. I think he has the North Node in Aquarius, so he's doing what he's here to do. We'll see what he does with it. It's free will, as well as fate. I think Mars might be going into Libra today from Virgo, if I'm not mistaken. It's past the opposition to Neptune, which is a good thing. There was a lot of stuff, good juicy stuff that was revealed about deception and lies. It's a double-edged sword, so to speak, when we're talking about an aspect with the opposite like that, because it can happen in one of two ways. Either you're busting through and you're attacking the illusion, or there is an attack and a deception and we're not aware of it. So there's a lot of things being perpetrated that are of a criminal nature and of deceit and lies, but Mars is drilling down to the details. So where there is corruption and deceit, we're getting more details. Like, you knew it was bad, you knew the garbage was stinking, but you didn't quite know it was rotting. That kind of thing. And then Mars will go into Libra tomorrow. Mars goes into Libra. Mars goes into Libra. Mars doesn't really like Libra. And then during the course of the week, Mars is going to make an inconjunct to Saturn. So there's going to be a push against boundaries. And Saturn in Pisces is like feeling in the dark. You don't really know where the boundary is. And you don't know where the wall is in the fog until you hit it. It's that kind of thing. But I guess more of the action is going to be this week. It's kind of chill right now. The action sort of shifts tomorrow when Mars goes into Libra. But with the moon in Capricorn, it's serious, it's mature, it's goal oriented. I don't know, I'm an earth sign. So I like I like the Virgo stuff. I like the Taurus stuff. I'm happy when the moon is in Capricorn most of the time. When I'm not happy, it's because I've got a lot of things that I know I'm not getting done. And I don't mind if I'm not getting them done because I can't do them or I'm busy and I just haven't gotten to them yet. But if I know I've been fucking off and procrastinating, then it's yeah. Then my inner parent is saying, Get on that shit. No time to waste. Make hay while the sun shines. Get out there in the sun and get some more tan because you haven't gotten enough because it's going to be cloudy in like 20 minutes. Anyway, so yeah, I guess that kind of wraps it up for today. Thank you everyone for joining. I am happy to be doing these little pop-ups. It makes me feel good because I like to be consistent, but yet I don't really do well with routine and structure, even though I do and I don't. I really like the freedom of just coming and going as I please. I love that. But I also know that to achieve anything in life, anything of lasting value and substance, um, you have to be consistent. So I am consistently popping up randomly during the week, and I will commit to Sundays around noon, more or less. I make myself feel better by working towards being consistent, but still allowing myself to have the freedom to just say, oh, I'm inspired today, and then tomorrow I'm not. Because if I feel like I have to do something, that's it. There goes all my creativity. It's like, wah, wah. I lose my erection. My energetic lady wood goes, wah, wah. Oh my goodness. So, again, thank you guys. Thank you, Nish. Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Lynn, who was here before earlier, and the elf that popped in, and everyone else who's listening in the archives. Please like, share, subscribe, ring the bell so that you will know when I'm randomly, consistently popping on. Yes, elf, I love chaos too, and I like it to be organized. I love the chaos, and then I do kind of like going and organizing it. That's fair. Virgo, struggle is real. Absolutely. Absolutely. But it is because we are purifying. We're purging and purifying. And that is in itself an act of service. So, on that note, I am concluding this session of service in service of you guys, of those who show up, of my loyal peeps. And I love you guys. And an infinite moi to everyone. And hope to catch you tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll do the call-ins. Yes, Darren, surf the chaos. Hey, did you guys know that the new Rona is called Eris? Eris, the goddess of discord. Eris, the asteroid Eris, which is conjunct the North Node in Aries. How's that? How do you like them apples? Which is square Pluto. We'll talk about that tomorrow. That's what we'll do. We'll talk about that, and hope you guys can join me live tomorrow. I will take calls. We will be doing that. Okay. Ciao for now. The twin Eris and Eros. Yeah. There was some Cupid action today. Oh, the moon at 2 degrees of Capricorn is conjunct Eros. Cupido, which is Eros. So, I didn't get to talk about that. So much information, so little time. Anyway, if you're listening in the archives and you don't know where to find me, you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook. See, I will always say Twitter. I'm sorry. I can't. I just can't. I can't let go. I'll work on it. Where else am I? Oh, Rumble. You find my edgier stuff. I'll move it to Rumble. I'll do it live here, and then I'll probably get scared and move it over to Rumble. You can follow me there, Astro Lunachick. If you're interested in booking a session, you can email me at astrolunachick@gmail.com, or you can find me on the Astro Lunachick hotline at 914-222-1231. That's my new number. I love it. I love it. I love my number. Um, it's popping up in my number synchronicities now too. I see 1231 a lot. So it's crazy. All right, you guys, I will catch you soon. I love you. Thank you for being here. Hugs, hugs. Ciao for now.